the crisis of the Church, which has been going on for many years and is being accentuated in recent years, is above all a faith crisis. It affects every one of us. When I speak of a faith crisis, I am talking about an essential part of our faith, similarly to other aspects of the faith, of course, but in this case, I'm referring, above all, to faith in eternal life. It is not that we have denied the existence of eternal life. If we had denied the existence of eternal life, we would be atheists, or at least we wouldn't be Catholics. But we are acting like agnostics. We believe in something, but it is as if we didn't believe really. It is there, we don't deny it, but our life doesn't have nothing to do with our faith. If we truly believe in eternal life, our approaches will change. For example, what is the first concern of a family of parents that practice the faith in the vast majority of cases? Their concerns for their children is for them to grow up healthy, for them to have an education, if they can afford it, of course, to have a good job, and they will help their kids, their grown-up child with contacts in order to open a road in the world. In the way they can form a family, a Catholic family if it's possible, and to baptize their grandchildren, of course. They're good things. But the first thing is the body. Healthy, with a good job, with a good education. That is the first thing that parents think. I'm not saying that it's the only thing. Sometimes it's the only thing, but it is the first thing for the vast majority of practicing Catholic families. That's what they want for their children. If we actually believe in eternal life, the first thing will be for us is to help our children to be safe, because that is the most important thing. That doesn't mean that we don't have to take care of their body, of their formation, education, that they can speak English or another language. In that way, they can have a successful life. Well, it's great that they speak English. That's a great thing. Everybody wants to go to the United States, or they can learn English, Chinese, or they can even speak German. But if they don't speak the language of God, if they don't know how to pray, if they don't know the Ten Commandments, when I talk to many parents, practicing Catholic parents, when I talk to them about their children, they regret that their children don't go to church, or that their children are not married in the church. And they tell you that, hey, when he was a kid, he was very pious. He came to church with me. He did the confirmation. But then they usually end up saying, well, he doesn't go to church, but thank God he's a good person. Really? Is the first concern of Catholic parents that their children be safe? Because that should be their first concern. For themselves, of course. But this is not the case. In some cases, yes. But for the vast majority of cases, the parents don't care about the salvation of their children. And that doesn't mean that we don't have to worry about what we should dress, or where we should eat, or what job we should have. But the first thing to worry is the thought. And a stupid pandemic have changed our life. We have lost the faith, the real faith in eternal life. And that happens in the vast majority of cases. And we have to make a exam of conscience. Do I really care? Do I really worry about the souls of my children? We should ask ourselves. For us, it should be most important that our children learn how to pray, that they learn how to speak English. Because English seems to, right now, to be the most important thing, or learn another language. And what about the priests? Many priests have transformed their vocation and have made of their vocation a social work, which is often very good, but a social work. Why? Because there is also a crisis of faith. A priest who truly believes in God, believes in eternal life, and he is concerned, first of all, for the salvation of the souls of the people entrusted to his care. And that means that he is always available for confession, for example. But where is this priest to be found? There are some, thank God, but how many? So few do confessions. And it's very hard to find it. Sometimes you can find it like very hairy, like they have a hard time convincing a priest to confess them. And what about the other sacraments, the Holy Mass, adoration of the Blessed Sacraments? This doesn't mean that we don't have to do a social work. I don't understand why social work has to be in odds with spiritual work, but we are not on earth for social work. That is what the NGOs or the governments do. That's their duty. But we, Catholic priests, we are here to be shepherds, to evangelize. What about if a doctor, for example, did not take care of their patients and these patients dies because he doesn't dedicate time to that, and instead he has a great hobby like giving watches away or to fix cars. And what about if a mechanic doesn't fix cars? Well, but you're a doctor. You shouldn't be like fixing cars. Like, I'm here because I need a doctor. And like if my car gets broke, I will go to a mechanic to fix it. But I'm here with a doctor because I'm sick and I need somebody to help me. So this happened the same to the priest. All this is absurd, and this is why things are going the way how are going. Priests, to the great extent, playing an extraordinary role, helping the poor a lot, and that's great. But do they play a role of priests? Parents are very concerned about their children learning English or another language, or for their children to have a master's degree. But what about their soul? I think we have a very serious problem. We have lost our faith. Why am I talking about this today? Because it is the Nativity of St. John the Baptist, the forerunner, the one who prepared the way for Jesus, the one who called for conversion. I don't know if St. John the Baptist did any social work. Perhaps he shared some of his grasshopper that he ate in the desert, or perhaps the roots that he managed to find and that he eat to sustain himself. Maybe he shared some of that with somebody who was walking on the desert. He was probably a very good, generous, compassionate person, but he was there for another reason. The doctor has to be a doctor, and if he also have a hobby of fixing cars or watches, Well, that's good. Do it on your spare time. But a doctor has to be a doctor. And the lawyer has to be a lawyer. And the engineer, an engineer. And the priest, a priest. We are here to evangelize. Parents and priests are here to evangelize. Because there is eternal life. Because the soul exists. Because we will be judged at the end of our life. And as we are forgetting about that, and we start believing the practice, and some even in the theory, that's why we have this crisis in the church. In the end, who is saved because he knows, and who doesn't know doesn't get saved. Saint John the Baptist teaches us to prepare the way for the Lord. We're Christ's collaborators, but we need to be like Saint John the Baptist. We need to prepare the way for Christ. And that doesn't mean that we don't have to do social work. But the first social work, the most important, is to prepare the soul for the encounter with Christ, on earth and in heaven. If we don't believe in this, everything the church does is a structure that doesn't make sense. And it's also as absurd as where are we going to get all the money to help the poor if there are no people going to Mass? If there are no people going to Mass, if there is no money to pay the church light or the heating or the humble poor, and the humble poor salary of a priest is not enough to help the people, to feed the poor. And at the end, we need to follow the example of Saint John the Baptist to prepare the way of the Lord. It is the wisest and the most important thing we can do on this earth. Amen.